Hello and welcome back to the Karma Stories podcast. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today I have 4 stories for you from the Tales from Tech Support subreddit. Today's episode is sponsored by my 3D printing website. Check out dangly3d.com where you can get your hands on your very own 3D printed Carmen Chameleon Karma Stories channel mascot. And yes, it comes complete with cookies. Check out Carmen and many more cute and dangly characters at dangly3d.com. Alright, on to today's stories. Let's get our nerd on. This story comes to us from Mother Distance 4714. How will you solve my problem? Physically destroyed hard disk drive. The stage. For a few years now, I am the sysadmin of this company and responsible for first level support. I've also written the IT manual, the frequently asked questions pages, the tutorials, and the reoccurring reminders for IT security, data security, and all the other stuff my users love to ignore. One of the most important parts of our government-mandated data security and compliance policies is that we are to physically destroy storage devices of any kind that we decommission. We back up our file servers daily, and we do not back up anything stored on the workstations. I tell this to my user regularly. I tell this to the user in person every time we issue new devices. I wrote a guide on how to not store data on local storage and how to use our file servers to store work-related files. In easy language, with pictures. I literally point the users to these guides prior to setting up their new toys. You, my fellow IT magicians, know by now where this is heading, right? The cast. Me, your humble IT guy. Her, not so bright, overconfident, power-tripping HR lady who got her new laptop 18 months ago. The show. My phone rings. Hooray, an emergency. Why else would my users not use the ticket system? Hi there, what can I do for you? I need you to grant me access to this file now. The CEO needs this report. I am terribly sorry. No, I'm not. You know better. But I cannot just give you access to something via phone. Company policies and laws prohibit this. We need to document this properly, and we need a superior to greenlight your access. This is ridiculous. I had access to the file before. You took it away. Now I need it back. Yeah, sure. I, the bastard operator from hell, select a random user each day and mess up their file access just for fun. I'm sorry. At this point, there's nothing I can do for you. Heck, I don't even know what you mean by access to file. We do access by folder. In which folder is the file? I can look it up for you and maybe I can figure out what happened to your access privileges. Don't you listen? I need the file. You took it away. Do something. Again, sorry, but it will not work this way. This is stupid. I'm coming down to you. Slams the phone down. A mere 15 minutes later, we are just one flight of stairs apart. She stands huffing and puffing in my door, shoving a binder with A4 color-printed screenshots in my face. See, I had access. I need it now. I take a brief look at the 300 pages of wasted toner. She printed every screen and menu of our CRM, each one on an A4 page. She shows me 2 select file screens. See, this file. I need it now. From what I see here, you try to access a file from My Documents. These are local files, like on your PC. If it is not there, you might have deleted it by accident. No, it was always there. Grant me access now. I am sorry, this is beyond my capabilities. If you deleted it, there is a chance that it's in the deleted files folder. If you deleted it recently, I can try to do some magic and look for it if you give me your laptop and a little time. I know this is very unlikely, but at least I could try. It was always there. It was on my old PC. Now it's gone. I need it. It takes me the better part of 10 seconds to compute this information. You had file on your old machine, like the one we decommissioned over a year ago, and now on your new machine, you cannot find it? That's what I'm telling you the whole time. Are you even listening to one single word I'm saying? Get me my file now. The file was stored on the old machine, like directly on that machine. Literally on that machine. On the machine that was destroyed over a year ago. Okay, the SSD, but I will not confuse her with details. So, get my file. I am sorry. I am really good at what I do, but I am not that good. I cannot do this. Is it because I didn't open a ticket? She sighs loudly. No, it is because it is impossible. I cannot get you a file that was on a device that is physically destroyed. So you do not want to help me? How do you solve this problem? Okay, she annoys the heck out of me, but still, I cannot help you. I'm unable to help you. There is no way to help you in this case. I might have paused too long before the last part. In German, this could be understood as an insult, but I really ran out of patience with stupidity. I'm gonna go right to the CEO and tell him. I was silent. So, will you help me now? As I stated and explained before, there is no way to help you. She exits stage right. About 1 hour later, a fellow IT magician teleports to my office, laughing. He was helping our CEO with an unrelated issue when she stormed in, complaining about me and how I am unwilling to help her doing a very important job for the CEO. Our CEO has a very dry way of handling things. I was told he listened, nodded, looked at the screenshot folder, and pulled up my tutorial on data storage. It seems like you have a lot of work ahead of you if you want to finish the report on time. I suggest you get to it. Also, please use one of the folders provided to your department on your home folder to store the file this time. Yeah, I know, this is as basic as it gets when telling stories about ID10T errors. I hope you enjoyed it anyways. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Reds Vikings Fan. Bonus points to the CEO for actually taking a few minutes to understand the real issue and to support the policy. Although I would expect a better result from a non-US, especially German CEO. So the HR lady in this case sounds like one of those people that doesn't know the difference between local storage and network storage. To her, it's all just saved on the computer. Somebody needs to sit this HR lady down and explain to her that saving a file locally is like leaving food in the fridge of your old apartment. If you move and someone throws out the old fridge, that food's not going to magically appear in your new fridge. This story comes to us from the 123 King Reddit. Please, could I have more storage on my OneDrive? No, I can't increase OneDrive. We have a fixed limit on user OneDrive spaces. You need to clear it out. Except that's just too easy. Of course, 100GB limit on OneDrive space is a lot, and it seems baffling how anyone, even an art teacher, could use that amount of space, but here we are. This ticket has been bouncing around a bit, and coworker had essentially replied to the ticket with the opening line of this post. Of course, art teacher didn't find this answer as enlightening or informative as coworker had hoped for. So I, in my infinite wisdom, suggested whether there was folders or files that would be better suited to being on Teams, rather than her personal OneDrive. Foreshadowing. This apparently wasn't the answer art teacher was hoping for either, and escalated the ticket to the very busy network manager, business manager, health and safety lead, and line manager for all facilities and IT staff. We'll call her Too Many Roles. Too Many Roles had a look at OneDrive and couldn't identify what was taking up the space. Being that her many hands are in many pies, and toes are in even smaller pies, with pies also balancing precariously on noses, she didn't have too much time to diagnose the issue. And so, here's where I step in. I decided that if we can't easily figure out where the large file is via the usual tools, I'll use a sledgehammer to crack a nut, and downloaded the entirety of art teacher's OneDrive, and then run WinDirectory on the resulting file structure. Seems like a pretty foolproof plan, despite the fact that 96GB download was going to take a few hours at the 100 megabits per second my network card was reporting. Except it didn't take ages. It took about 10 minutes, and the file was 5GB big when uncompressed. Huh? Now, some of you who might be more familiar to OneDrive and its quirks have probably already figured out the root cause, but for the rest of you, I will hold you in suspense. My first thought was that not everything was downloaded. After checking a few folders, I confirmed that I hadn't found anything missing. Most files were about 250 megabytes at the largest, and nothing particularly concerning. It was just a file structure holding work from art teacher students. So I get to Googling how and why OneDrive would misreport space, And the answer seemed obvious with hindsight: versioning. For those unfamiliar, OneDrive and Teams and most other Microsoft Cloud file stores, as far as I know, implement versioning. Essentially, every edit or every so often when editing, OneDrive will take a snapshot of a file and store it so files can be rolled back if unwanted edits occur or data loss happens from fat fingering the delete key. Seems great, and it is, usually. Looking down the version history of one of the files, about 250 megabytes I'll add, it shows that art teacher has edited the file. Then student 1 has also edited, ad infinitum, or up to version 55 at least. It seems most of these documents have been shared with students, and they have been actively working on them. Well, there's your problem. So the reason that art teacher has run out of disk space is because she tried to reinvent the wheel. Instead of using Teams, a resource with essentially unlimited space, she has decided to recreate Teams in her personal OneDrive by sharing files and folders with her students. As these students have continued working on these documents, the versioning snapshots the files continuously, leading to upwards of 50 snapshots of a 200 megabyte document, mostly pictures, multiplied by about 20 students. I then kindly suggested to our teacher that her OneDrive isn't somewhere where students should be working from, and that those files really should be put in her class Teams. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, we have one from a user called DickCheney600. It says, "To be perfectly honest with you, that sounds like it takes a bit more than basic computer literacy to figure that out. Thus, I'm not entirely surprised that an end user ran across that. Though your point that she was using OneDrive outside of its intended purpose still stands." Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with the commenter because OneDrive is literally meant to store and share files, and they were sharing files. It's not their fault that OneDrive does that incredibly poorly. I think the real issue here was just that the files that they were sharing and working on were incredibly large files because they were images, so they took up a lot of space. But that version history does have a purpose. If you do something wrong or delete something, you can go back and pull up a previous version. That's a wonderful feature in my opinion. This story comes to us from Louisville Buddy 420. "My bank account isn't working." Short one, but for a little backstory, I am not officially in IT, but for whatever reason, an enormous part of my job is updating phones and laptops, investigating tech problems, printing, and doing minor tech fixes. So anyway, a lady makes a tech help appointment with me. Yes, even though this is not at all in my job description, but I do enjoy it, so it's fine. She comes in and says she cannot link her bank accounts in a banking app. She is trying to link Chase and Bank of America. Let's pretend because I don't remember the accounts. I have her log into the Chase Bank app and see the Bank of America account is logged in and working fine, and say, "What's the problem?" She says, "I can't log into my Chase Bank account." I say, "You're logged into Chase right now. Your Chase account is on a separate screen than the linked accounts page." And I show her how to go back. She's getting louder. "No, I can't link my Chase account." I say again, "You are currently logged into your Chase account. Both accounts are linked in your Chase banking app. You don't need to connect two accounts, just the one singular Bank of America account to link the two, which is already connected." "Yes," she yells, "only my Bank of America account says it's connected to Chase. I need to connect my Chase bank account." I respond, "Let me get this right. You're trying to connect your Chase bank account to your Chase bank account, right? Do you have two Chase bank accounts?" "No, of course not. I only have one." "You only have the one Chase bank account that you are currently logged into and can fully see?" "Yes." "The two bank accounts are connected in your banking app already. They're just on separate screens." Finally, it's sinking in. She gives an exasperated huff, thanks me, and says, "I hate technology." I nod, me too. Jumping down to the comment section on this one, there's one from a user called Joe Attaboy. It says, "I retired from the IT world a couple of years ago, but I still love reading this sub and posts like this. I am baffled as to why so many people have so much difficulty understanding even the simplest concepts. I'm 70, and I guess my life work in tech gives me an edge. But for F's sake, how hard is viewing two accounts in a single app? I have discovered in retirement something interesting about my generation. When someone my age or older asks about some tech thing, I end up describing it and couching it in non-technical terms. Your story would go, you have two accounts with two different banks. Every month, they mail you a statement. Imagine Bank A had added all your Bank B information into their statement. Now you get one statement in the mail, and so on. This usually clears things up. OP responded and said, ooh, that is a good way to explain it. I can't say this exact thing happens a lot, but using the whole getting a physical statement in the mail is something I will have to add to my arsenal of explanations. I worked in senior living for 4 years before this new job, so I'm very used to explaining these things to older generations. But somehow, I still get blindsided with the ridiculousness of some of the questions. I love people 70 plus. The only frustrating thing is their common unwillingness to learn anything about technology that they use every day. I feel a bit bad for this lady because apparently her grandson had told her she could and should link bank accounts, but it seems like it just overcomplicated the process she'd been going through of checking two separate apps. I encountered that a lot. People who are very tech savvy just telling older folks who didn't grow up with this kind of tech to add more and more apps and features to their phones to simplify things, and all it does is confuse people more. I can't tell you how many times I have sat down with people and spent an hour going through their crowded phone and computer and deleting unnecessary programs they never use just so it's not overwhelming. Hey, OP, in this case, you do actually work in IT, you just don't have the title, and you're not being paid properly for it. You really should do something about that and speak to the powers that be, because you're doing tech support and it's way outside of your regular job scope. I do want to say that I really appreciate the way that OP works with these people. They even said in a comment down below that they don't actually hate people or technology, they just agree with them when they say it, so they don't feel as bad for asking nonsense questions. This story comes to us from Beer Belly Be Gone. The CEO's son doesn't read emails. Let me preface this by saying I'm not tech support, and this literally happened 10 minutes ago. I was on an after-hours call with the CEO, who is not that great with tech, and he asked if I could help his son, who is also not that great with tech, sign into Office using MFA. He also works here. When he tried logging in from the browser or on his phone, he was told to go to the Microsoft Authenticator app, which is great, except when he went to the Authenticator. It also asked him to sign in with MFA, using a code from that same Authenticator app. The Authenticator was unable to authenticate itself. We tried different ways to sign in, but they all came back to using the Authenticator app in some form or another. And he couldn't get into the app because it also required authentication from itself before it could authenticate anything else. As this was going on, I asked him when he downloaded the Authenticator app. He said 45 minutes ago, when he tried logging in, meaning he disregarded the 3 emails that were sent a month out, 2 weeks out, and last week about MFA turning on this morning. And please install the Authenticator app before Tuesday morning. Head, meet, desk. At this point, I said there's nothing I can do. Wait until tomorrow morning when the office's Microsoft admin will be back online and see if he can get you in. A full night shift of productivity lost because the CEO's son doesn't read emails. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Grumpy Old Geezer 4711. It says, you were contacted by the CEO. That means that an update on the issue is both right and proper. In this case, I would send an email to the CEO explaining the problem and that Sonny needs to A, contact support in the morning, and B, read his effing emails from now on. You may want to rephrase that last bit. Basically, you need to cover your butt. Agree with this commenter completely. Send an email to the CEO that lays out the 3 previous emails that were sent out to everybody saying that they needed to have that Authenticator app before the change happened, and let them know exactly what dates those emails were sent. Of course, if the son was the apple that didn't fall far from the tree, then you can disregard my comments because the CEO is just not going to understand anyway. If you enjoy daily Reddit stories, I encourage you to follow and add us to your favorites on whichever podcasting platform you enjoy the most. And if you're watching and listening on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. It really helps us out. I thank you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.